Hey everybody, it's Mike Frieda here with On-Call Compliance Solutions, and I'm back with another compliance tip of the week. Today we're talking about DFARS, NIST, SP 800-171, and CMMC. What is it like to fail and pass an assessment? A revealing tell-all story of our journey to compliance. I've been waiting a long time for this one. So hey everybody, if you're a defense contractor who is feeling overwhelmed, tired, and alone, trying to understand all of this DFARS, NIST, SP 800-171, and CMMC compliance stuff, I've got great news for you. You found your home here at On-Call Compliance Solutions, where we can help you transform into your company's on-call compliance hero. Let's jump into it. So look, this video is going to be a very interesting and very unique video. It's really more of a true story of our own journey to CMMC Level 2 certification and becoming a certified third-party assessing organization, or C3PAO. And I think that it's really going to shine a lot of light on what this entire assessment experience is like from a perspective very similar to yours. You know, a company that is trying to get compliant and certified with CMMC Level 2, we sit in the same position as you do. First thing I will tell you is that I've been waiting a very long time to tell this story, an agonizingly long time. I'm a storyteller. You know, I love to keep you guys up to date with what's going on with us, you know, with compliance, all that stuff. And there is so much I have not been able to tell you guys. And, you know, we're going to kind of start that journey of unwrapping our journey to certification with CMMC Level 2, becoming a C3PO. We're going to start that today. So literally, it's been years in the making. As everyone knows, On-Call is one of the very first companies to ever touch NIST SP 800-171 compliance, and we've been in the game since before the standard was created. As a managed IT services company with clients all over the world, we have been helping to secure companies in the defense industrial base, that's probably you if you're watching this video, literally for decades. We've been on the forefront of managing ransomware risk, data theft, insider theft, insider threat, cybersecurity, all those things. And again, we've been doing this for years. In fact, just in case you are new to our channel, maybe this is one of the first videos you've seen, look, our story, or just don't know us that well at all, we got into this because NIST SP 800-171 became the solvency we were looking for to stop our clients from getting ransomware when ransomware was first emerging. And again, later, many other threats. It's been an unbelievable tool for us to know that we are managing information security correctly, right, according to a standard, and have a standard that we apply across all of our clients. And that's a big thing, is if we're managing technology for a client, first thing we do is we roll out NIST SP 800-171. Literally, I mean, I'll tell you what, just to safeguard us as your provider, right? So we really believe in this stuff, really take it very seriously. And it's not even just because it's like a legal requirement for defense contractors, it's because it works. Now, let me take you back to November 2023, when the now Cyber AB was beginning their certified third-party assessor program to help get private companies like On-Call involved in helping the DoD assess defense contractors just like you and their information security against NIST SP 800-171. While most companies that provide assistance helping companies get compliant and ready for CMMC just went and paid the Cyber AB about $5,000 or whatever they're charging you today, or whatever, for being a registered provider organization, RPO, I looked at that scenario and I said, you know what? I don't really like that. I don't like that at all. I don't like the idea that I can just pay to play, right? Pay and then boom, I'm magically a provider. That doesn't really prove anything. It doesn't really prove our capability as a company and give anyone any evidence that we actually know what on earth we're doing, okay? You could just pay it. Like you today could go pay and become an RPO. I think there's a background check or something like that, but there's no real like going through the controls and proving that you can make a compliant system. And the thing is, we do know what we're doing. In fact, in my humble opinion, we know it better than any other company out there. And no, look, clearly lots of companies out there are offering compliance solutions. I get it. It's an audacious statement that I'm making here, and I'm not one to make ludicrous, wild statements. I try, in fact, to really stick to the facts. But the bottom line is that where most other companies, I'm saying most, not all, but most other companies are forcing companies like yours, defense industrial-based companies, people who make something for the defense industry or do something as a service for the defense industry, they're forcing you guys into a predefined solution stack or a quote unquote compliant solution that will not get your entire company compliant. It's just like the solution they're selling you is compliant. I can tell you that we have innovated a highly unique and efficient approach that allows you to get compliant to the best of your abilities with what you already have. All right, it's so different than what everybody else is doing. Massive time and money saving approach. And yes, it does require much harder work on our part to figure out where the gaps are and how to solve for those gaps. But in our opinion, it's what makes us much different, much faster, much more cost effective, and a very clear choice for you if you are trying to get compliant. Okay. Again, the big secret that nobody tells you is that when they're selling you a quote unquote compliant solution, there's like that doesn't get your company compliant. There's still so much more work to do. So I told my team, I said, no, we're going to be an assessor. Even though right now, I'll tell you, we don't really have a ton of interest in being an assessor. I think it's very important to understand what an assessor goes through, prove to our clients, that's you, right? Or if you're a prospective client, prove to our clients and you, perhaps someone who is considering who to use for compliance help right now, that we know what we are doing. We know it on par with the assessors. They're going to be required by law to face if they want to stay in the defense industry. And that we walk the walk, right? The bottom line, that's just kind of the person that I am. And that's the kind of company On-Call is. I want to walk the walk with you guys. And I'll tell you, On-Call doesn't have a single defense contract aside from when we get attached to other client defense contracts as a vendor handling their information security. We don't do defense contracting, right? We stay out of that conflict of interest, okay? But what I will tell you is I do and meet every requirement that any other defense contractor has to be out there. Why? Definitely not because I have to, but because we want to, because we want to be able to say, I've already done this before, and here's the example, and we already know how to do this, okay? And here's the proof, more importantly, all right? Again, if you're just working with a regular MSP or really anybody who's not diehard in this industry like we are, they probably are learning on your dime, and that's not good. Super not good, especially now that you're actually under pressure from CMMC. So what did I do? I said, you know what, screw it. I'm going to sign up and be an early assessor, and let me tell you about the wild ride that we have been on, okay? Again, this was not like, really, I don't have a lot of desire to do the assessing. I think we'll probably maybe stand up one assessment team to help people out and just provide a little bit more capacity in the defense industrial base. Because again, I'm hearing like year-long backlogs to getting assessed and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to go there during this video. I'm going to kind of stick a little bit to the script here, but ultimately at the end of the day, it's not really like our primary interest. Our primary specialty is in helping you get compliant, managing your technology, and helping you to get through this, all right, and then helping you maintain it afterwards. So look, it took us about 9 months for the DIBCAC assessment team to finally get to us the first time. I mean, look, these people are very busy, and when they got to us, it felt like every step we had to take to even get there was completely a blind curve. I mean, the paperwork you have to do, this tab BCD thing, guys, all I can tell you is literally it's very much like running a marathon blind. I mean, we have been through this with many clients before, but we had never done this ourselves under a scenario like C3PAO, where you are not allowed to have a single control not met to qualify. And I can tell you, being in that hot seat is nerve-wracking, all right? If you're not ready for it, it is frightening. Literally, it's scary, all right? And here's what happened, all right? During that assessment, November 2024, it was different from what we had experienced before with our defense contractor clients. Yes. All right, light up the internet, right? I'm going to trigger everybody. It is different. I don't care who you are. It is different now than it used to be, all right? There was a huge emphasis on evidence versus just showing a secured system, a system security plan that we were not anticipating. It was fully different, all right? We weren't ready for it because those issues had just never been present on any of our previous DIBCAC interactions, and neither had the pressure of producing that evidence. I'll shorten the story for the sake of keeping this to a digestible story and YouTube video because nobody likes watching long YouTube videos. But to make a long story short, we failed our first audit, and it was a horrible feeling, all right? Remember that I made a bet, back in 2017. I bet our whole company on doing this stuff. So, probably the most horrible feeling that you could ever really feel, right? We are the company in this space. We are the authoritative source of information that doesn't BS you, that isn't tied in with some kind of major, military institution. We're out here just like you guys fighting for it, right? Look, we failed for 2 reasons. 1, lack of written documentation and evidence. we just didn't have the level of written evidence to the magnitude that they were looking for. And I tell you, some of this stuff is really silly stuff, okay? Maybe one of my favorite examples, and there's so many, was that despite there being nobody from our marketing department that had access to CUI or our enclave, where CUI could have existed if it had existed, they mandated we have policies in place to safeguard CUI from getting onto one of our websites or other publicly available resources. Well, despite being impossible because of the way we are structured as a company, they still failed us on that control because we did not have a documented written policy and procedures defining an example of how that needed to happen, right? You know, do we look at marketing material before it gets launched on the website to verify there's no CUI? Are we reviewing our websites periodically to see if there's CUI that somehow magically escaped onto the website? And then do we have another procedure for what would happen if it did escape onto the website and for us to take it down and what to do then? And again, it's an impossible scenario inside of the way that we're structured. We explained that to them and they still failed us on it. It was a very brutal experience, to be honest with you. Now, worse, when we fail to control, assessors will not and cannot tell you anything other than that you did not meet the control. We had no help fixing this stuff, zero. And the experience was utterly horrible and nasty. I mean, it was a nasty experience for us. There were so many unexpected things that they wanted to see that, in our opinion at the time, just had nothing to do with whether we were capable of actually securing CUI, that it became very upsetting to the entire team. I mean, it was like very traumatic, right? To make matters worse, we had a solution which performed remote patching that we had not put in our scope as a security asset. Our thought had been that since nobody with access to that tool had direct access to CUI through the tool, that it should not be in scope. Well, after seeing that, we did not have many written policies. They were like looking for the assessment team. The assessment team dug in hard and dissected our remote patching solution and decided that despite not having an ability to directly access CUI through that solution, that because the solution could change settings on a machine through patching that did contain CUI, and because there were other people who had access to that tool in our company that were not listed in the personnel inventory of people who had access to CUI, they would go back through the controls they had already basically told us we were trending met on and fail virtually everything related to access control on the premise that there were now unauthorized people who could possibly manipulate settings on those machines and somehow get access to CUI. Essentially what they said was that our scope was incorrect for what could touch CUI, and because of that, we failed a massive slew of controls. I mean, I don't even know how many controls we failed, all right? It was like this massive, just complete dumpster fire, okay? Look, anger, frustration, sadness, trauma. I mean, I don't even know what better way to put it, all right? This was a heavy blow to us, all right? But the reality is that I had prepared our team for the reality that going in blind like this, without much information available, I mean, guys, I gotta tell you, back tail end of 23, there was like no information publicly available about how to do this stuff. It just like, I don't care, they sent us some links on stuff. There's no information, all right, on how to really get through this. I mean, like, we're pioneering for you guys how to get through the controls and like do the right things on technical implementation and stuff. Documentation, again, we've put out a slew of videos since then, but like really back then, very, very little understanding of how to do it right. And how would we understand without going through this process, which is exactly why we did it. So was what we had to do before our clients ever had to go through us. All right, this is our whole premise is like, we're going to jump on the sword for you guys. We're going to go through this process. We'll go become an assessor and we'll figure out what is it that you actually need to do, all right, in order to truly understand, what it is that they would be facing. Now, to make matters worse, our failure was not an accurate reflection of our ability to properly use the right tools or secure CUI. I don't think there was ever a mention that we had a security issue with our environment that we set up. It had nothing to do with that, which makes it even more frustrating. Because honestly, when we had been through this previously with other defense clients, again, I'm not going to name names, whatever it is, but like there were people that were logically interpreting whether or not these people could keep things secure. Okay, and again, understand it's been a couple years, CMMC, things are different now. But our failure was a reflection of not understanding the assessment process despite reading and reviewing that process. Now, you could very easily look back at me and you could be like, well, Mike, you're not that bright of a guy, and you're probably right. I can barely read a script. But what it was a reflection of is my hunch that just paying to be an RPO was a bad move, given that our mission here is absolute mastery for our clients. And while it was painful to go under the microscope early, and it was painful, like years of pain, what came next was worth it. Because post-failure, our compliance team went in overdrive. All right, I mean, you want to talk about some motivation. I'm not going to lie, we cried a little bit. Just a little bit. We're only human. But then, overdrive, because that's how we roll it on call, all right? We analyzed every single assessment point by assessment point, control by control. We literally recreated hundreds and hundreds of pages of documentation evidence requirements based on our experience and the DIBCAC assessment team's method for assessing us, okay? And I'd love to tell you that I had a lot of help in doing that, but we didn't. In fact, I won't even go there. We didn't even get our assessment results for months afterwards. Luckily, we took copious notes in the background, and because we knew there would be things that are just not public that we would have to fix and weren't documented anywhere else. So when we went into that assessment, we had 16 total policies and procedures. And honestly, we kind of thought that was overkill. We thought we were being really, really thorough. All right, we thought we had stuff in those policies that would just address everything. When we finished resolving the deficiencies found during audit, we had well in excess of 65 plus standard operating procedures, policies, and also some personnel templates specifically so we could put things in writing that we were planning to show them in a live system. Okay, a 400% increase in documentation and evidence. We tightened up internal controls and documented everything that we did on a day-to-day basis to keep this environment secure. We also chose to reduce the automated patching out of the enclave and perform updates manually, something we would not have previously done, but that we felt would foolproof our way through the next assessment. And if you're wondering, this is not something we would do for our clients, all right? It was something specific to us, and I'm not gonna pull the shade over you guys. I wanna tell you exactly what I did, all right? And not just me, but our entire team, right? There's a team at On Call. I don't do it alone, right? This is what we did, right? So, and if you're wondering, this is not something we would ever do for our clients or recommend. I would not recommend doing it the way that we did it. We did it manually, and we have since had other clients that have now passed CMMC Level 2 certification with our patching system in place, kind of proving like we didn't really need to pull it out of there. It's just that's how we chose to run that enclave. No problem there, okay? We just felt that we wanted to eliminate it based on what happened and not repeat the mistake. I'm not telling you at all to go pull your automated patching solutions. They're fine. Our scope was the problem. Our written direction to the assessors was the problem. All right, our fault. Now we know it's our fault. Before we didn't. It's definitely not intuitive. All right, look, just to give you an understanding of how horrible this experience was for us, we actually created a new service called the CMMC Level 2 Mock Assessment, which is a very cost-effective way, it's like half the price of a CMMC certification, of stepping through the CAP or the CMMC assessment process with us in an unofficial internal CMMC Level 2 assessment, read, not an official CMMC Level 2 certification at all, so that you and your organization and your attesting official can have a third-party oversight over CMMC Level 2 self-certification, get the help you need to fix any deficiencies found while going through these controls, which, by the way, you are required to do at least once per year. That's right. If you haven't been back through your system security plan recently, this might be a good reminder for you. This is our highly recommended way of preparing for third-party CMMC certification. Honestly, you should be doing this every year, but it does cost money. Let's be reasonable about it. And for sure, before you go self-certify with CMMC Level 2 and the SPRS system, I would definitely recommend at least a mock assessment with us. All right. Again, way more affordable than CMMC certification. Some of you listening to this video, you might not even have to have a third-party certification. And again, you're putting massive legal liability of a false claim on the line with somebody at your company. Don't send them to jail, right? Have some expert guidance doing this. And again, this was completely created out of our absolute nightmare of a scenario of going through CMMC certification where they cannot tell you why you're failing a control. They can just tell you that you're not meeting it. Okay, and they can't offer consultative advice to fix it. You're just SOL. I don't know a better way to put it, right? Now look, fast forward to August of 25. A tough 6+ month wait again after we'd fixed everything to get back on the list and get reassessed by a different DIBCAC team, and things went much differently. Our team was ready. We knew what to expect. And we had proper scoping discussions now that we had learned the hard way how to have those discussions, and documentation that shares in advance of the assessment with our lead assessor. We had very productive conversations with our lead assessor prior to going into the actual CMMC certification assessment, okay? That was another thing we learned is, boy, if you've got a question about something, let's go talk to that lead assessor well before this thing starts. And we know how to have those conversations, okay? To make sure that they knew what we would present and that it looked good to them, right? Because if it didn't look good to them, boy, we want to know that in advance before we start. Here's a hint. It also helps to have somebody on your side that really understands this process for all those little things that you would just never even think of. Now look, with a Monday morning start time and months of preparation and waiting behind us, it was time to go again. But this time was different. Our team knew what to expect. We were prepared, and we had a mountain of documentation linked right in our system security plan so that we would not be fumbling around trying to figure out where the evidence was for every one of these 320 assessment objectives. We began flying through each control assessment objective by assessment objective, full of nervous energy, but knowing that we had been through every line before. Trending met, one right after the other. And by the end of day one, our team was feeling tired but relieved. 100% pass rate, no issues. Is this really going to happen? Day two brought about a question that caught us off guard. Not going to lie about it, right? A risk management question on 311.1 that dealt with managing the risk of operating the enclave itself. Something that we had certainly done a lot to manage that risk, but had we documented it? Well, it was completely unexpected. We didn't have that evidence ready, but the good news is we were able to demonstrate with date and time stamps company-wide evidence for exactly that control. Caught us off guard. Let me tell you what, across 320 different things you have to meet, there theoretically can always be something you didn't anticipate. But again, we were doing what we said we were doing and actively managing risk on a constant and ongoing basis, as we are supposed to be doing, so we were ready and provided additional evidence there. Aside from that, we made record time, finishing all control families before 11 a.m. on day 3. Surely that's got to be near record. 2.25 days from start to finish with a 100% met pass rate. It was exhilarating. And more importantly, we had done what less than 90 companies in the world had done at that point, passing a DBCAC C3PAO CMMC Level 2 assessment. And we walked the walk for you guys out here on YouTube, for our clients. And I got to tell you, I mean, not even kidding you, it still feels really good today. All right. It's still a thrill today. I will also share with you candidly that one of the things that made this a bit more complex is that we were determined to not pass an assessment the easy way, okay? There are ways to pass assessments with a system for a C3PAO that is basically like unusable for most businesses, okay? Using things like a Google bucket or an air-gapped computer that's not really usable in real life business. They're just not usable day to day, all right? Again, that's not the way we wanted to do it. It was offered to us, but no. To us, that was not of interest. That wasn't even the point of why we were doing it. We wanted to build a system that works just like you guys. We wanted to build a system that works just like you do. So we leveraged Azure Government, Office 365, GCC High. We leveraged local machines for access. We leveraged virtual machines, just like any typical manufacturer or other company in the defense industry does for normal defense work. And we didn't cheat or take the easy road because that's just not what we do. And what would the point be, right? Look, my hope in creating this video for you guys is that we can take some of the mystery out of what it's like to fail a CMMC Level 2 certification assessment and why, and also that you can hear what it's like to pass. Because last time I checked, the pass rate is something like 40% or maybe even under 40%, right? And so at the end of the day, we know that a lot of you guys, you're going to fail the first time through like we did. Right? But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There is a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And more importantly, we at OnCall have that experience. We failed it. We passed it. We got clients passed it. We got clients through CMMC Level 2. Dude, we've done it all. And we wrote the book on it. Whether you're getting ready for CMMC or just trying to get compliant with NIST SP 800-171, I want you to know that we have the experience. We've been through the ups and downs, and we walk the walk, right? If you're looking to figure out who's going to help you with this, all right, if you're struggling, if you're banging your head against the wall, or maybe The simple reality is you're freaking out because this is a big, nasty assessment, right? 320 assessment objectives. That's like SAT. I don't even know how many questions that has. That's a lot. It's very complicated. I don't have a doctor in front of my name. Anyway, look, at the end of the day, if you're looking at who to use to get compliant and ready for CMMC, you should know that you don't have to go through the struggle and heartache that we did, all right? Because we've already done it for you and can be your Sherpa, right? Your guide to get this done fast, efficiently, and we've already proved it both to ourselves and for you guys and our clients that have gotten CMMC certified at level 2 as well. We're here to help you on your journey to compliance and success, winning more defense work. And with over 1,000 of these projects completed, On-Call is probably the only company on the Inc. 5000 list that I know of who has these credentials, at least right now. Certified third-party assessing organization, Inc. 5000, ISO certified quality management system around our CMMC assessment activities. Guys, we've got it all right? And we're cost-effective. We're affordable. We scale. We can literally handle you if you're a company of 1 or 60,000 plus employees, and we've done it before. You won't be our first, and we won't be learning on your dime. And the best part is we can do it fast. And hey, at On-Call, we take defense contractors just like you who have had this DFARS, NIST, CMMC, ITAR, and EAR, information security compliance stuff, dropped in their laps like a seagull on a sunny day. And we teach you how to level up and be a proper On-Call compliance hero for your company, eliminating gaps, gray areas, and getting this solved, all while showing you how to leverage compliance as your secret weapon to land more defense work with higher profit margins. Now that's what becoming an On-Call compliance hero can do for you. If you're looking for more help getting compliant, our compliance experts are always on call for you. Visit cmmccompliancesecrets.com or check out the description below for links to get help right now. And if you love the content we're putting out here for you, help us out with a big thumbs up on that like button. Or even better, smash that subscribe button, baby. You get the latest compliance content as soon as our compliance nerds roll it out. Until the next compliance tip, my friend, stay safe and secure out there, and hit us in the comments below to let us know what you'd like to know more about when it comes to information security and compliance. I'll see you on the next one.